Hey guys, how you two? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about a video that went viral all over social media. It was this black woman that I think wore like Lululemon and pretty much went to a Lululemon store in Atlanta and started twerking and dancing. They said they were strippers, and so they decided to do this as almost like a boycott thing, almost like going against Lululemon and pretty much saying that, you're not for us, so we're just going to go and do crazy stuff. I believe there's an interview that the owner of Lululemon or something did where he said that his brand was not for certain people. And I was talking to my husband about it, and he told me that he said that his brand was not for fat people and Asians or something like that in the past. I'll leave the link of the interview. You guys can check it out. So this whole video went viral. And at first, a lot of people were mentioning things that were really like on point. But then later on, it became this whole thing where they started attacking these women's bodies. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay to go and do all this craziness at someone's store, but I felt like the conversation moved from one thing to another. So a lot of men, I even watched some men that do YouTube or whatever, who were talking about how these women were ugly and they couldn't believe they're strippers because they had rolls and their bodies were like their bodies were ugly and all this stuff. And I'm just thinking, like, why are we moving the conversation away from these women doing something wrong and going about everything the wrong way and now attacking their bodies? And I just started asking myself, is this a plus size issue, or is it an issue where people are literally going to a store and really messing up the environment and actually recording people also that were in the store trying to shop? And it just made me kind of go like, you see, at the end of the day, when you're a plus size person or you're a fat person, the conversation sometimes moves away from what the main thing is to your body and this and that. So I also read somewhere that one of the girls on that video, the women got shot or something like that, which is really unfortunate and sad. I'm like, what the heck? But yeah, so I'm going to kind of address that thing moving, the topic of the issue moving from plus size, and also this whole thing where, there's always a way to go about doing stuff where, it doesn't make everybody look bad. Okay. So yeah, these women, black women, for me, it was like, oh, here we go, because I've seen another thing where so many other viral videos where a lot of black women were doing stuff like this. There was one where this lady lost it and climbed over the counter and started throwing stuff at the guy that was cooking or whatever. And I was just shaking my head because at the end of the day, a lot of people make assumptions based on certain stuff they see on social media and some certain that they've seen and generalizing, which everybody does with every race and stuff like that. So for example, I remember like a couple years ago when I was on dating apps, when I was talking to a guy, at some point they would bring up, did I know how to twerk? And I was like, not every black woman twerks. Not every black woman is out here being super trashy and shaking their butt, Like, it was like, excuse me, like, I'm not even from here. Like, I was born in another country, So it was kind of like grouping everything into one. So that was one thing. And then one of the other thing is, as a people of color, we already have a lot going on as far as like, in certain environments, we already are treated a certain way. So we always want to try to bring the best, even if, we're still going to be treated that at least that you did your part. For example, if the assumptions are that black women are loud, black women are always shaking their butt, black women are always wearing trashy clothing, blah, 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 stuff like that. You want to bring your best so that you don't have this, even though people will always be people and people will always have assumptions about certain groups of people. So this video just showed something that, is just going against the culture where, we are really trying to be, bring ourselves in our best light. And here we are, this is happening. So now people have something else to add on and say, well, that's what black women do. They go to stores and attack and get violent and, twerk and all this stuff. And it's really, really just embarrassing to watch. It reminds me of the whole thing where Monique was talking about bonnets, and that when black women are walking around with bonnets on their head, and, really dirty lounge slippers and all this stuff, it's giving the wrong message. So once again, we have something that's giving the wrong message. And it's just unfortunate, because it's like we have to, we go 2 steps forward and then we're going 2 steps back every time, So, this just feeds into the whole assumption. And I know sometimes people do stuff for views. This could be a possibility. They were trying to go viral and get views. Okay. But it just was like, oh, here we go. Another thing for people to talk about. So the whole thing was really disturbing to watch because I know... Yeah, I saw people that just were in the store who were really looking uncomfortable, like they wanted to walk out of there. There's always a right way to do something. So these women could have dressed up in things that were not Lululemon or whatever, matching colors, and just go stand out there and have their like little matching thing, march and say, they're against Lululemon and what they stand for, blah, 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 blah. They could have written a letter to the CEO, the other ways of doing things, or just stand in the store and ask people to help them support, go against Lululemon and stuff like that. That's kind of the usual way and kind of the right way that does not cause us to be looked at in a different light, It's just like, it was so, yeah. But anyway, the other issue I want to talk about is, why everything always moves back to the plus size this, plus size that. Because at the end of the day, I don't know, out of 5 women in the video, I think most of them were plus size, meaning that, they're over a size 4. And so it's just the way that a lot of men and were going in on these women's bodies was just like, wow, okay, I think at the end of the day, yes, I mean, they made themselves be in a bad light, but wow, they just kept going and going and going on about it, and it's just, they were like, their bodies are disgusting and they don't need to be wearing that stuff, and it kind of goes to the whole thing where, when you have a plus size body, you're not supposed to wear certain things, and people are so bothered by every little thing that you wear. They have something to say about it. So for me, that kind of bothered me. I feel like we should have just stuck to, hey, they did something wrong and they needed to do it a different way. And it's like, it's making a lot of Black people, especially Black women, look really bad. And at the end of the day, I don't think their message went across because of the distraction of everything else. It's like if you're trying to say you hate a restaurant, going and attacking the chef and choking him and throwing him over the counter, it's a criminal act. And also that it doesn't send the message not to go to that restaurant. It just makes people look at you and say, well, you got issues and you need to be locked up, So at the end of the day, the video really, it was bad to watch. Because also they were listening to a song there that, I don't know the name of it, but it was a very ratchet song. And so it just kind of fed into the whole thing of, that's what Black people do. They act ratchet, they're loud, and the message was not received. So for me, I know that other people of color, people that are white, for example, they have a way of going about stuff and really like getting them heard by writing letters, marching, boycotting, and really speaking to get their point across. And I think that if we could just do better as far as, that, it could really help, because, yeah, the message was not received. So I just watched the video and I just wanted to say I really was disturbed by the comments that people were leaving about these women's bodies. And it just kind of opened this field where now people are just like going in like, yeah, like they don't need to be wearing this. Look at they're ugly. They don't look like they need to be strippers. Like their faces are ugly. It just became an attack on their looks, and not so much that they're doing this. I don't know. It felt like it wasn't as much now about what they did. So yeah. All right, guys. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.